4 months after my best friend Marcus died in what everyone called a tragic car accident on the Pacific Coast Highway, his lawyer handed me a USB drive with trembling hands. Marcus left specific instructions, she said. You're supposed to watch this alone first. Then decide what to do about your wife and your business partner. I went home, locked myself in my office, and plugged it in. What I saw on that screen made my blood run cold. Marcus hadn't died in an accident. He'd been murdered. And the two people I trusted most in the world were the ones who killed him. Before we get into what was on that drive, and how Marcus recorded his own murder investigation from beyond the grave, I need to know who's listening to this right now. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from and what time is it there? Because what I'm about to tell you will change how you think about trust, friendship, and the people sleeping in your bed at night. My name is David Chun, and until 4 months ago, I thought I had it all figured out. At 38, I was living the American dream in Newport Beach, California. Co-founder of a cybersecurity firm that was worth $47 million. Married to my college sweetheart Claire for 12 years. And best friend with Marcus Webb since we were roommates at USC. Marcus was more than my friend. He was my brother, the best man at my wedding, the godfather to the children Claire and I were planning to have. And on February 14th, 2025, he drove his Tesla off a cliff on Highway 1 near Big Sur. Valentine's Day. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The California Highway Patrol said it was driver error. Maybe he'd been drinking, though Marcus barely touched alcohol. Maybe he'd fallen asleep, though it was 2 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe his Tesla malfunctioned, though the crash investigation found no evidence of mechanical failure. His car had simply accelerated off the cliff at the Devil's Slide turnout, plunging 200 feet into the Pacific Ocean. They recovered his body 3 days later. Closed casket funeral. Everyone said the same things. Such a tragedy. He was so young. 37 is too soon. I gave a eulogy. Broke down twice. Claire held my hand through the whole service. My business partner, Jason Fletcher, delivered a moving tribute about how Marcus had been the conscience of our company, always pushing us to do the right thing even when it cost us profits. We buried Marcus at Pacific View Memorial Park with a view of the ocean he'd supposedly driven into. And life went on. Except it didn't. Not really. Because Marcus had left instructions with his estate attorney, Rebecca Morrison, that 4 months after his death, if no one had been arrested for his murder, she was to give me a USB drive. Murder. Not accident. Murder. When Rebecca called me on June 14th asking me to come to her Century City office alone, I thought it was about paperwork. Insurance documents. Estate distribution. Normal post-death legal business. David, what I'm about to give you is going to be extremely difficult, Rebecca said, sliding a small silver USB drive across her mahogany desk. Her hands were shaking. Marcus spent the last 3 weeks of his life documenting something he discovered. He made me promise not to watch it myself. He said only you would know what to do with the information. I stared at the drive. What kind of information? He said, and these are his exact words from the letter he left me. Tell David that Claire and Jason need to see this, but give him time to watch it first. Alone, because he's going to need time to accept what I found before he can act on it. My stomach dropped. Claire and Jason? My wife and my business partner. Rebecca nodded. I'm just the messenger, David. But Marcus was very clear. He said if anything happened to him, especially anything that looked like an accident, I should wait 4 months and then give this to you. He said you'd understand why he waited that long. I took the drive with numb fingers. Did he tell you what's on here? No. And I kept my promise not to look. But David, she met my eyes. Marcus was terrified when he recorded this. I saw him the day before he died. He looked like a man who knew his time was running out. He made me promise that if you decided to go to the authorities, I would provide full legal support. Pro bono. Whatever you needed. Why would I need legal support? Because according to Marcus, you're going to want to kill someone when you see what's on that drive. And he wanted to make sure you did this the right way. Through the system. Not with your hands. I left her office in a daze. The summer sun was beating down on Century City, tourists and business people crowding the sidewalks. Everything looked normal, but nothing would ever be normal again. I drove home to Newport Beach in silence, my mind racing through possibilities. What could Marcus have found? What did it have to do with Claire and Jason? And why had he waited to tell me until after he was dead? Our house in Newport Coast sat on a hillside with a view of the Pacific. 3,000 square feet of modern architecture that Claire had decorated with impeccable taste. When I pulled into the driveway at 4:30 p.m., her Mercedes was gone. She'd mentioned something about a yoga class. Good. I needed to be alone for this. I went straight to my office, locked the door, and plugged the USB drive into my computer. One folder appeared on screen. For David only. Watch and order. Inside were 12 video files, numbered sequentially, and one document titled Complete Evidence Package, Police Report. My hands were shaking as I double-clicked on file number 1. Marcus's face filled the screen. He was in his apartment, the one in Marina del Rey that overlooked the harbor. But he looked terrible. Thin, exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes that I hadn't noticed the last time I'd seen him. When was that? 3 weeks before he died. We'd grabbed lunch in Costa Mesa. He'd seemed distracted, but I'd been too busy with a major client acquisition to press him about it. Hey, brother, Marcus said to the camera. His voice was steady, but his eyes were haunted. If you're watching this, I'm dead, and I need you to know it wasn't an accident. What I'm about to show you is going to destroy your life, as you know it. I'm sorry. God, David, I'm so sorry. But you deserve to know the truth, even if the truth is going to break you. He took a deep breath. 3 weeks ago, I discovered something by accident. Complete accident. I was at your office late on a Thursday night, around 10 p.m., dropping off those client files you'd asked for. Remember? You were in San Francisco for that conference. I used my key card to get in, and I heard voices coming from the executive conference room. Your voice, David. I was about to call out, let you know I was there, when I realized you weren't alone. Marcus's jaw tightened. You weren't in San Francisco. You were in Newport Beach, in your own office. And you were with Claire. My heart started pounding. What? I know what you're thinking, Marcus continued. Your wife visiting your office isn't suspicious. But David, the way she was talking to you, the way you were responding, I knew immediately something was wrong. So I did something I'm not proud of. I stayed hidden in the hallway, and I recorded the conversation on my phone. He held up his iPhone. Everything I'm going to show you, I recorded over the next 3 weeks. I tried to find an innocent explanation. I tried to convince myself I was wrong. But the more I dug, the worse it got. And now I think they know I know. My car's been making weird noises. My apartment was broken into last week. Nothing stolen, but things moved around. I've been getting hang-up calls at 3 a.m. I'm documenting everything because I don't think I have much time left. Marcus leaned closer to the camera. David, your wife and Jason have been having an affair for 18 months. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is what they're planning to do to you and what they've already done to CyberShield. CyberShield, our company, the business Jason and I had built from nothing in my garage 7 years ago. Watch the rest of the files in order, Marcus said. I've organized them chronologically. And David, when you're done, call Detective Sarah Martinez at the Newport Beach Police Department. I've already sent her copies of everything. Time locked to release if I die under suspicious circumstances. But she'll need you to corroborate the evidence. She'll need you to be strong enough to do what needs to be done. The video ended. I sat in my office chair, my entire body numb. Claire and Jason. An affair. For 18 months. While I've been working 80-hour weeks to build our company, trusting both of them completely, they've been, meeting behind my back. Laughing at me? Planning something worse? I clicked on video file number 2. This one showed a recording of a conversation. The audio was clear enough that I recognized the voices immediately. My voice. Claire's voice. But I had no memory of this conversation. Because I'd never had this conversation. Someone was impersonating me. We can't keep doing this, the fake David said. The guilt is killing me. You say that every time, Claire responded. Her voice was cold, annoyed. And every time, you come back for more. You're addicted to this, David. Admit it. Jason's my best friend. Jason's your business partner. There's a difference. And honestly, he's become dead weight. The company would be worth twice as much without him dragging us down with his outdated security protocols. My stomach turned. That wasn't my voice, but it was close. Very close. A voice clone. Someone had trained an AI on my voice, and was using it to have conversations I'd never actually had. The conversation continued. Claire, I'm serious. If Marcus suspects anything. Marcus doesn't suspect anything, Claire interrupted. He's too busy being the saint of Newport Beach, volunteering at that youth center, dating that elementary school teacher. He's completely oblivious. I don't know. He's been asking questions about the Prometheus protocol. Silence. Then Claire's voice, sharp with alarm. What kind of questions? About the client list. About why we were routing certain transactions through offshore accounts. About the $4.2 million discrepancy in Q4. Fuck. How much does he know? I don't think he knows anything concrete. But he's curious. And you know Marcus. When he gets curious, he doesn't stop digging until he finds answers. Another pause. Then Claire said something that made my blood run cold. Then we need to handle Marcus before he digs too deep. Same way we handled that journalist from the Wall Street Journal. Same way we'll handle David when the time comes. You mean? Claire said, her voice deadly calm, that people who become problems stop being people. They become obstacles, and obstacles get removed. That's how business works at this level, David. That's how survival works. The recording ended. I replayed it 3 times, each time feeling more sick. That wasn't me. I'd never had that conversation. But the voice was close enough that anyone who didn't know me intimately might be fooled. And the content, the Prometheus protocol, the $4.2 million discrepancy, I'd never heard of any of this. I clicked on video file number 3. Marcus appeared again, looking even more exhausted. Okay, so you just heard that conversation. I know what you're thinking. That's not your voice, right? It's close, but not exact. I thought the same thing. So I did some research. He pulled up a laptop screen, showing a software interface. This is a voice cloning program called VoxMimic. It's illegal in California without explicit consent, but it's readily available on the dark web. You feed it 20 minutes of someone's voice samples, and it can generate conversations that sound exactly like them. I found evidence that Jason purchased access to this software 6 months ago using a burner credit card tied to a shell corporation in Delaware. Marcus's face was grim. He's been creating fake conversations between you and Claire. Conversations where you discuss illegal business practices, where you admit to securities fraud, where you talk about eliminating witnesses. David, they're building a case against you. A false case. And when the time is right, they're going to use these recordings to destroy you. He pulled up another document. Here's where it gets worse. I hacked into Jason's personal laptop. I know, illegal, but I was desperate. I found a folder titled Exit Strategy. Inside was a complete plan to force you out of CyberShield, strip you of your equity, and frame you for financial crimes you didn't commit. They've been embezzling money from the company for the past 18 months, exactly as long as their affair has been going on. Marcus showed spreadsheets on screen. Look at this. The Prometheus protocol isn't a real security project. It's a shell entity they created to funnel money out of CyberShield and into offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. For $0.2 million so far. But the financial records they've created make it look like you authorized every transfer. Your digital signature, your approval codes, all fake. I felt like I was drowning. How is this possible? Jason was my best friend. We'd started CyberShield together in 2018, 2 USC grads with a vision for next-generation cybersecurity. He'd been the technical genius. I'd been the business strategist. We'd complemented each other perfectly. And Claire, my wife of 12 years, my college sweetheart, the woman I'd proposed to on the beach at sunset, who'd said yes while crying tears of joy. It couldn't be true. Marcus had to be wrong. This had to be some kind of mistake, some misunderstanding that would make sense once I talked to them. But then I clicked on video file number 4. This one was dated 2 weeks before Marcus died. The footage showed the interior of a restaurant I recognized immediately. Mastro's Ocean Club in Newport Beach. The camera angles suggested Marcus had been wearing a hidden camera, probably in his glasses or a shirt button. Across the table sat Claire and Jason. Together, on what was obviously a date. Claire wore the black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. Jason had his hand on her thigh under the table. They were laughing, drinking wine, completely comfortable with each other. The body language was unmistakable. These weren't two people sneaking around nervously. These were two people in an established relationship, confident and relaxed. Marcus's voice came through the audio, slightly distorted. "So how long are you planning to keep this up?" They both turned to him, surprised. I realized Marcus must have approached their table uninvited. "Marcus," Jason said, his smile faltering. "What are you doing here?" "Having dinner." Imagine my surprise when I saw you two here together. On a Wednesday night, when David thinks Claire is at a book club and thinks you're meeting with clients in LA. Claire's face went cold. "It's not what you think." "Really?" "Because it looks like exactly what I think it is." "How long, Claire? How long have you been fucking David's business partner?" Jason stood up, his face flushed. "Watch your mouth, Marcus. You don't know what you're talking about." "I know enough. I know about the Prometheus protocol. I know about the offshore accounts. I know about the voice cloning software. And I know that you two are planning to destroy my best friend." The restaurant had gone quiet. Other diners were staring. Claire grabbed her purse, her hands shaking with rage. "You self-righteous piece of shit. You have no idea what you've stumbled into. No idea how deep this goes." "Then enlighten me," Marcus said calmly. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like simple greed and betrayal. Two people who decided their affair was worth more than their integrity." Jason grabbed Marcus by the shirt. "You need to forget what you think you saw. You need to walk away and mind your own business, or things are going to get very bad for you very quickly." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise," Claire said, standing up. Her voice was ice. "You have no idea what we're capable of, Marcus. What we've already done to protect this. Walk away while you still can." Marcus pulled away from Jason. "I'm not walking away. I'm going to tell David everything. And then I'm going to the police. Whatever you've done, whatever you're planning, it ends now." Claire laughed. Actually laughed. "Tell David? Go ahead. See if he believes you. See if anyone believes you. We've been very careful, Marcus. Very thorough. You have no proof of anything." "I have enough." "Do you?" Jason's smile was cruel. "Because from where I'm standing, all you have is paranoid speculation from a man who's been acting increasingly unstable lately. Haven't you, Marcus? All those late-night conspiracy theories. All that erratic behavior. I'd be careful if I were you. People might start thinking you need professional help. Mental health evaluation. Maybe even hospitalization." Marcus's voice was steady. "You're threatening me." "I'm warning you," Jason said. "For your own good. Drop this. Go back to your volunteer work and your girlfriend and your simple little life. Stay out of things that don't concern you. David concerns me. He's my brother." Claire leaned in close. "David is a means to an end. He always has been. Jason and I built Cyber Shield. David was just the face we needed for investors. The charisma, the charm. But the real genius? That was always Jason. And now David's outlived his usefulness. Now he's just in the way." "You're going to kill him," Marcus whispered. "That's the end game, isn't it? You're going to kill David and take everything." "We're going to do what's necessary," Claire said. "And if you get in the way, we'll do what's necessary with you too. This is your last chance, Marcus. Walk away, or become collateral damage." The video ended. I sat in my office, my hands clenched in a fist so tight my nails drew blood. They'd threatened Marcus. 2 weeks before he died, they'd explicitly threatened him. And then his car had gone off a cliff. Not an accident. Murder. I clicked on video file number 5, then 6, then 7. Each one contained more evidence. Bank records showing the embezzlement. Screenshots of text messages between Claire and Jason discussing me like I was a business problem to be solved. Recordings of conversations where they refined their plan to frame me for securities fraud, force me out of the company, and split my equity between them. Video file 8 showed Marcus in his apartment, clearly recorded the night before he died. February 13th, 2025. His hand was shaking as he spoke to the camera. "Tomorrow's Valentine's Day," he said. "Appropriate, given that this all started with an affair. David, if you're watching this, I'm about to do something dangerous. I'm driving up to Big Sur to meet someone who says they have information about Claire's past. A private investigator she hired 3 years ago to look into your financial assets. He says he has documents that prove this has been planned for much longer than 18 months. Marcus ran his hands through his hair. I know it's a risk. I know it could be a trap, but I need this evidence. I need something concrete enough that even you can't deny what's happening. Because I know you, brother. You're loyal. Maybe too loyal. You're going to want to believe there's another explanation. You're going to want to believe that your wife and your best friend couldn't do this to you. His eyes filled with tears. But they could. They did. And they're going to kill you if someone doesn't stop them first. So I'm taking this risk. I'm meeting this investigator at the Devil Slide Lookout at 2 p.m. tomorrow. If something happens to me, if I don't come back, you'll know I was right. You'll know they did it. He leaned close to the camera. I love you, David. You're the brother I never had. And I'm so sorry I couldn't stop this before it got this far. But you can stop it now. You have all the evidence you need. Take it to the police. Take it to the FBI. And whatever you do, don't confront Claire or Jason directly. Don't give them a chance to hurt you too. Promise me, David. Promise me you'll do this the right way. The video ended. Marcus had died at 2 p.m. on February 14th at the Devil Slide Lookout. Exactly where he'd said he was meeting the private investigator. The same investigator who'd never come forward after the crash. Who'd probably never existed. Because it had been a setup, a trap, and Marcus had walked right into it. I clicked on video file 9. This one was different. It was security camera footage from a gas station on Highway 1, timestamped February 14th at 1:47 p.m. Marcus's Tesla pulled in a charge. But he wasn't alone. A silver Lexus pulled in behind him. The driver got out. Jason Fletcher, my business partner, at a gas station 13 minutes from where Marcus would die. The footage showed Jason approaching Marcus. They talked for maybe 2 minutes. I couldn't hear the conversation, but Marcus's body language was defensive, backing away. Jason pulled something from his pocket, a small device. He appeared to show it to Marcus, saying something that made Marcus go pale. Then Jason got back in his Lexus and drove away. Marcus stood there for a moment, clearly shaken. Then he got back in his Tesla and drove north toward Big Sur, toward his death. Video file 10 showed footage from a different camera, this one from scenic overlook 3 miles south of Devil's Slide. Timestamp 1:58 p.m. Jason's Lexus drove past, heading north, 2 minutes ahead of Marcus, setting up the ambush. Video file 11 was the hardest to watch. It was dashcam footage from a tourist RV that had been driving south on Highway 1 at 2:03 p.m. The camera caught everything. Marcus's Tesla approaching the Devil's Slide turnout at normal speed, then suddenly accelerating. Not like a driver losing control, like a car being remotely operated. Because that's exactly what had happened. The device Jason had showed Marcus at the gas station. It was a Tesla hack. I'd heard rumors about them in the cybersecurity world. Black market tools that could override a Tesla's controls, access through the car's wireless systems. Take control of steering, acceleration, brakes. Turn a car into a remote control weapon. Jason had hacked Marcus's Tesla, and 13 minutes later, he'd sent it off a cliff. The dashcam footage showed the Tesla accelerating toward the cliff edge, hitting the low barrier at 60 miles per hour and disappearing over the side. The RV driver had called 911 immediately. But by the time emergency services arrived, Marcus was already gone. Murder made to look like an accident. Video file 12 was Marcus again, recorded sometime in the early hours of February 14th, just hours before he died. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. If you're watching this, the worst has happened, he said. They got to me before I could stop them. David, I need you to understand something. This isn't just about money or an affair. It's bigger than that. Claire and Jason are part of something larger. A network of people who target successful entrepreneurs, infiltrate their lives, and systematically drain their companies dry before disposing of them. He pulled up a document on screen. I found 4 other cases in the past 7 years. Same pattern. Trusted business partner and romantic partner team up. Embezzle funds. Frame the target for crimes they didn't commit. And when the target gets too close to the truth, they eliminate them. 2 car accidents, 1 suicide, and 1 accidental overdose. All ruled non-suspicious. All victims were wealthy tech entrepreneurs in California. Marcus's face was grave. Claire isn't who she says she is. Her real name is Christine Volkov. She's originally from Russia, immigrated in 2008. Jason Fletcher isn't his real name either. He's Jacob Friedman, and he served 2 years for financial fraud in Nevada before changing his identity. They're professionals, David. This is what they do, and you were their next target. He leaned forward. I've sent all this evidence to Detective Sarah Martinez at Newport Beach PD, programmed to release 4 months after my death. I picked 4 months because that's how long it takes for people to stop asking questions about an accident, for the investigation to close, for everyone to move on. But you won't move on. I know you. You'll still be grieving, still wondering. And when you get this evidence, you'll be angry enough to act, but smart enough to do it right. Marcus smiled sadly. Use that anger, brother. Channel it. Don't let them get away with killing me. Don't let them destroy you the way they planned. You're smarter than they think, stronger than they know, and now you have everything you need to put them away forever. He reached toward the camera. I love you, David. Give them hell. The video ended. I sat in my office as the sun set over the Pacific, the same ocean that had swallowed Marcus's body 4 months ago. My best friend, my brother, murdered by my wife and my business partner, the 2 people I trusted most in the world. I pulled up the final file on a USB drive, the one labeled Complete Evidence Package, Police Report. Inside was a 247-page PDF containing every piece of evidence Marcus had gathered. Bank records, screenshots, voice analysis reports proving the AI cloning, background checks revealing Claire and Jason's true identities, connections to the 4 previous cases, forensic analysis of the Tesla hack, and a detailed timeline of the conspiracy. At the bottom was a phone number. Detective Sarah Martinez, Newport Beach Police Department. I picked up my phone, my hand steady now. The shock had burned away, replaced by something colder, harder. This wasn't grief anymore. This was purpose. But before I could dial, I heard the garage door opening. Claire was home. I quickly ejected the USB drive, shut down my computer, and slipped the drive into my pocket. My mind was racing. What did I do now? Confront her? Call the police immediately? Or follow Marcus's instructions and let the detective handle it? Claire's voice called from downstairs. David? You home? I took a deep breath, composed my face, and opened my office door. Yeah, just finishing up some work. She appeared at the bottom of the stairs, yoga mat under her arm, looking exactly like the woman I'd married. Beautiful, fit, with that warm smile that had first attracted me in college. But now all I could see was the monster Marcus had exposed. The murderer. The con artist. Christine Volkov. How was your day? She asked, heading to the kitchen. Interesting, I said, following her down. Had a meeting with Marcus's estate attorney. I watched her carefully. The slightest pause in her movements. The brief tightening of her shoulders. Then she recovered, turning with concern on her face. Oh, is everything okay with the estate? Fine. Just some paperwork. She had some personal items Marcus wanted me to have. That's sweet. Claire pulled out a wine glass, poured herself Chardonnay. I still can't believe he's gone. For months, and it still doesn't feel real. The ease with which she lied was stunning. The practiced sympathy. The fake grief. How many times had she done this before? How many people had she destroyed while wearing the same mask? Yeah, I said quietly. Sometimes I wonder if we ever really knew Marcus at all. What was going on in his head? What he knew that he never told us? Another micro-expression. Fear quickly hidden. What do you mean? Just that he seemed distracted those last few weeks. Like something was bothering him. I wonder if he tried to reach out. If there were signs I missed. Claire took a sip of wine. Marcus was always intense. Always digging into things. Sometimes I think he looked for problems where there weren't any. Maybe, I said. Or maybe he found problems people didn't want him to find. We stared at each other. For just a moment, her mask slipped. I saw the calculation behind her eyes. The assessment of how much I knew. How much of a threat I'd become. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and I saw Jason's name on the screen before she quickly darkened the display. I need to take this. Work stuff. It's 7 p.m. Client emergency. You know how it is. She walked out to the backyard, phone to her ear. I stood in the kitchen, my heart pounding. They were communicating, probably discussing what Marcus's attorney might have told me, deciding whether I was becoming a problem that needed to be solved. I pulled out my own phone and dialed the number Marcus had given me. Detective Martinez, Elder Crimes and Fraud Division. Detective Martinez, my name is David Chun. I believe you've been waiting for my call. It's about Marcus Webb. A pause. Mr. Chun. Yes, I've been expecting to hear from you. How much of the evidence package have you reviewed? All of it. Every video. Every document. Detective, they killed him. My wife and my business partner murdered Marcus because he found out what they were doing. I know, she said gently, and I'm sorry, but I need you to listen to me very carefully. You cannot confront them. You cannot let them know that you know. Can you do that? I glanced toward the backyard where Claire was still on the phone. I don't know. She's here right now. I don't know if I can look at her and pretend everything's normal. You have to, because we need to build an airtight case. Marcus gave us the foundation, but we need more. We need to catch them in the act. And that means you need to act like nothing's changed. What do you want me to do? Nothing tonight. Tomorrow morning, you come to the station. We'll wire you up, get you to draw them out, make them reveal their plans on tape. But tonight, you have to be normal. Can you do that? I watched Claire through the window, laughing at something Jason had said. My wife. My murderer. Yeah, I said. I can do that. But I didn't know if I could. Because every instinct in my body was screaming at me to confront her, to demand the truth, to make her admit what she'd done to Marcus. To make her pay. David, Detective Martinez said, her voice firm. I know what you're feeling. But if you blow this now, they walk. They disappear. And they kill someone else's best friend. Someone else's husband. You want justice for Marcus? Then you need to be patient. Let's do this right. Okay, I whispered. Okay. Tomorrow morning. What time? 7 a.m. Come alone. Park in the garage. We'll take care of everything else. I hung up as Claire came back inside, her expression bright. Sorry about that. Client panic over nothing. Hey, want to order Thai food? I'm starving. I forced a smile. Sure. The usual place. Perfect. She came over, kissed my cheek. Her lips felt like ice. I love you, David. The words I'd heard 1,000 times. Words that had once meant everything. Now, they meant nothing. Less than nothing. They were weapons. Tools of manipulation. I love you too, I said. And I spent the rest of that night eating pad thai and watching TV with my wife, pretending I didn't know she was planning to kill me. Pretending I didn't know she'd already killed my best friend. Pretending I was still the naive fool she thought I was. But inside, I was counting down the hours until morning, until I could start the process of destroying the people who destroyed Marcus, until I could give my brother the justice he deserved. For months after Marcus died, I'd finally learned the truth. Now it was time to do something about it. The Newport Beach Police Department looked exactly like it always had when I'd driven past it 100 times before. Red brick, palm trees, American flag. But this morning, at 6:47 a.m., it felt like the gateway to a different world. A world where my wife was a serial killer and my best friend's ghost was guiding me toward justice. I parked in the garage like Detective Martinez had instructed, taking a spot in the far corner where my Tesla wouldn't be visible from the street. Paranoia had become my new normal. If Jason could hack Marcus's car, he could hack mine. If Claire and Jason were monitoring my movements, I needed to be invisible. A plainclothes officer met me at the elevator. Mr. Chun, I'm Detective Ryan Foster. Detective Martinez is waiting for you upstairs. He led me through a maze of corridors to a conference room on the 3rd floor. Inside, Detective Sarah Martinez stood reviewing a massive evidence board covered in photos, timelines, and documents. She was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes that had probably seen every kind of human betrayal. Mr. Chun, she said, shaking my hand. Thank you for coming. I know this must be incredibly difficult. Difficult doesn't begin to cover it. I stared at the evidence board. Photos of Marcus's crashed Tesla. Photos of Claire and Jason from surveillance footage. Bank records showing the embezzled millions. How long have you known? We received Marcus's evidence package 2 days after his death, programmed to release immediately to us while yours was time delayed 4 months. We've been building a case since February. But honestly, without your cooperation, it would have been nearly impossible to prosecute. Marcus gave us the what, but we need you to help us prove the how and why beyond reasonable doubt. She gestured to the evidence board. Your wife, Christine Volkov, entered the U.S. in 2008 on a student visa. Change her name to Claire Chun when she married you in 2013. But before that, she was married twice. Both husbands died. Both were wealthy. Both deaths were ruled accidental. My stomach dropped. She killed her previous husbands? We believe so. The first, Robert Patterson, died in a boating accident in 2006. She inherited $800,000. The second, Michael Brennan, died from a fall down the stairs in 2010. She got $1.2 million and his tech startup in Austin. Both cases were investigated but ruled accidental. No evidence of foul play at the time. Detective Martinez pulled up another photo. Jason Fletcher, real name Jacob Friedman, served time in Nevada for securities fraud from 2012 to 2014. He changed his identity when he was released and moved to California. We believe he and Christine met sometime in 2015, established their partnership, and have been targeting wealthy tech entrepreneurs ever since. How many? My voice sounded hollow. We've identified 4 definitive cases, 5 including you and Marcus. All follow the same pattern. Jason gets hired at a tech company or partners with the founder. Christine enters the target's life romantically. They spend 12 to 18 months embedding themselves, gaining trust, learning the business. Then they start the extraction phase. Embezzlement, identity theft, financial fraud. And when someone gets close to discovering the truth, that person disappears. She pointed to 4 photographs on the board. Brandon Torres, San Diego, 2017. Car accident on the I-5. Thomas Whitaker, San Francisco, 2019. Suicide by hanging, ruled self-inflicted. Daniel Morrison, Sacramento, 2021. Accidental drug overdose. Kevin Park, Palo Alto, 2023. Drowned in his pool. All of them were wealthy tech founders. All had either Jason as a business partner or Christine as a romantic partner, sometimes both. All died just as they were getting suspicious about financial irregularities. I felt sick. And you couldn't prove anything? Different jurisdictions, different detectives, no apparent connection between the cases. Christine and Jason were very careful. They'd change their approach slightly each time, use different methods, wait at least a year between targets. It wasn't until Marcus connected the dots that we saw the pattern. Detective Foster spoke up. Marcus was brilliant. He didn't just document what was happening to you. He went back through public records, death certificates, business registrations, and found the connections. He built the case that we've been missing for 7 years. And they killed him for it, I said quietly. Yes, but now we have a chance to stop them permanently. David, we need your help to make this case airtight. We have circumstantial evidence, but we need direct confession. We need them to incriminate themselves on tape. Detective Martinez pulled out a small device. This is a wireless microphone. You'll wear it under your shirt. The range is excellent, and we'll be listening in real time from a surveillance van. We want you to meet with Jason today at your office. Tell him you've been reviewing the Prometheus protocol files and you have questions. He'll know something's wrong. I never question his technical decisions. Exactly. That's what we're counting on. We want him nervous. We want him to reach out to Christine. And then tonight, we want you to confront Christine at home. Tell her you know about the affair. Make her think you found out the old-fashioned way, not through Marcus's evidence. See how she reacts. You want me to tell my wife I know she's cheating on me while she's planning to kill me? The absurdity of it would have been funny if it wasn't so terrifying. We want you to push them into making a move. Right now, they think they're safe. They think Marcus's death closed that chapter. But if they believe you're becoming suspicious, they'll accelerate their timeline. They'll talk about what to do with you. And we'll record every word. Detective Foster added, we'll have officers positioned around your house and your office at all times. You'll never be in actual danger. The moment things escalate beyond verbal confrontation, we move in. I looked at the evidence board again. 5 men dead. 5 families destroyed. And Marcus, my brother, had died trying to stop it. Okay, what I need to do? For the next 2 hours, they coached me. How to wear the wire. What questions to ask. How to push Jason and Claire's buttons without making them too suspicious. How to stay calm even when I wanted to scream. Detective Martinez had done this dozens of times, and her confidence was contagious. "Remember," she said as they fitted the microphone under my shirt, "you're not trying to be a cop. You're trying to be a husband and business partner who's starting to have doubts. Let your real emotions show. Anger, confusion, hurt. That's what will make them believe this is genuine." At 9:47 a.m., I pulled into the parking lot of CyberShield headquarters in Costa Mesa, the building Jason and I had leased 3 years ago when our company started scaling. 50 employees, $47 million valuation, clients across 6 states. Everything we'd built together. Everything he'd been systematically stealing from me while sleeping with my wife. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor, where our executive offices were located. Jason's door was open. He sat at his desk, 3 monitors displaying code and security protocols, completely absorbed in his work. Or pretending to be. "Hey man," I said, keeping my voice casual. "Got a minute?" He looked up, smiled. The same smile I'd seen 1,000 times. The smile of my trusted friend and partner. Except now I knew it was the smile of a con artist who'd killed at least 5 people. "Always. What's up?" I closed his office door and sat down. "I've been going through our Q4 financials, preparing for the potential acquisition meeting next month. And I found something weird." Jason's smile didn't waver, but I saw his shoulders tense slightly. "Weird how?" "The Prometheus Protocol. I don't remember approving that project, but there's $4.2 million allocated to it over the past 18 months. Can you walk me through what that is?" Silence, just for a beat too long. Then Jason laughed, turning back to his monitor. "Oh man, you scared me for a second. Prometheus is the next-gen encryption system we've been developing for the defense contractor clients. I briefed you on it last summer, remember? You approved the budget allocation." "I don't remember that." "David, you approve like 50 things a week. I'm not surprised it slipped your mind." He pulled up a spreadsheet. "Look, here's the breakdown. R&D costs, server infrastructure, contractor payments. All legitimate expenses." I leaned forward, studying the screen. The numbers looked real. The documentation looked professional. But Marcus had shown me the truth. These were fabricated records covering up systematic theft. Who are the contractors? Various freelance security researchers. Why? Is something wrong? I try to contact a few of them. The email addresses don't work. The phone numbers are disconnected. Jason's expression shifted, just slightly, from friendly to guarded. "That's weird. Let me look into it." You know how freelancers are, always changing contact info. "Jason," I met his eyes. "Is there something you need to tell me about this project?" "Like what?" "Like where the money is actually going. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like $4.2 million disappeared in a thin air, covered up by fake documentation." The mask dropped. Not completely, but enough that I saw the real Jason underneath. Cold. Calculating. Dangerous. "David, what are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm asking direct questions about our company's finances. Questions you seem very uncomfortable answering." He stood up slowly. "You think I'm stealing from us? Is that what this is about?" "I think something's not adding up. And I think you've been avoiding giving me straight answers for the past 5 minutes." Jason walked to his window, looking out over the parking lot. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Colder. "How much do you know?" "About what?" "Don't play dumb, David. It doesn't suit you." "How much do you know?" My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice steady. "Why don't you tell me what there is to know?" He turned back to me. "Did Marcus say something to you?" "Before he died." The question hung in the air between us. This was the moment. If I said yes, he'd know I had evidence. If I said no, I'd miss the chance to make him confess. Marcus and I talked about a lot of things. But did he talk about me? About CyberShield? About... He paused. About Claire? Why would Marcus talk to me about my wife? Jason laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You really don't know." "Jesus, David. You really are clueless. Enlighten me." "Claire and I have been together for almost 2 years. We're in love. We're planning a future. A future that doesn't include you." The words should have shocked me, but I'd already seen Marcus's evidence. Still, hearing Jason admit it out loud made it real in a different way. "You're sleeping with my wife. I'm building a life with your wife. There's a difference. And honestly, David, you should be thanking me. I've been making her happy in ways you never could. All those late nights at the office, all those business trips, All that time you spent focused on work instead of her. I was there. I saw what she needed, and I gave it to her. How noble of you. Mock me if you want, but we're not the bad guys here. You've been a shitty husband, an absent partner. You take all the credit for CyberShield's success, but it's my code, my systems, my genius that built this company. You're just the face, the salesman. And frankly, we don't need you anymore. Through my wire, I knew Detective Martinez was recording every word. But I needed more. I needed him to talk about the embezzlement, about Marcus, about the plan to kill me. So what? You and Claire are just going to run off into the sunset with $4.2 million of my money. Your money. Jason laughed. David, you have no idea how deep this goes. The Prometheus Protocol is just one of a dozen shell projects we've been using to extract capital from CyberShield for the past 18 months. Between offshore accounts, cryptocurrency transfers, and real estate holdings, we've moved close to $8 million out of the company. Money you'll never see again. That's embezzlement. That's fraud. That's business. And here's the beautiful part. All the documentation points to you. Your digital signatures, your approval codes, your authorization. If anyone investigates CyberShield's finances, they'll find a pattern of systematic theft orchestrated by the CEO. By you, David. Not me. My hands clenched into fists. You framed me. We protected ourselves. There's a difference. See, when Claire and I leave next month, we're going to file a whistleblower complaint with the SEC. We're going to provide evidence that you've been embezzling millions from the company. You'll be arrested, prosecuted, probably do 10 years in federal prison. And while you're locked up, we'll be living very comfortably in a country without extradition treaties. You've thought of everything. We have. We always do. Jason sat back down, completely relaxed now. Confident. Marcus almost screwed it up. I'll admit that. He was smarter than we gave him credit for. Started asking too many questions, digging into things he should have left alone. We had to accelerate our timeline with him. Accelerate your timeline, I repeated quietly. Is that what you call murder? Jason's smile faded. What did you just say? Marcus didn't die in an accident. You killed him. You hacked his Tesla and sent him off that cliff. For the first time, Jason looked genuinely worried. How do you? No. Because Marcus was smarter than you thought. He documented everything. Every conversation. Every transaction. Every threat you and Claire made. And he left it all for me. Jason stood up fast, his chair rolling backward. You're lying. Am I? Then how do I know about the voice cloning software? How do I know about Christine Volkov and Jacob Friedman? How do I know about the 4 other men you and Claire killed before you came after me? The color drained from Jason's face. David, listen to me very carefully. No, you listen to me. I stood up, years of rage finally breaking free. You killed my best friend. You stole my company. You fucked my wife. And you thought you'd get away with it because I was too stupid, too trusting, too focused on business to see what was right in front of me. But Marcus saw, and now I see. And you're done. Jason's hand moved toward his desk drawer. I'm sorry, David. I really am. But you've left me no choice. The door burst open. Detective Martinez and 4 uniformed officers rushed in, weapons drawn. Hands where we can see them. Now. Jason froze, his hand inches from the drawer. Detective Foster moved quickly, pulling a handgun from inside. Well, look at that. Unregistered firearm in a business office. That's a felony right there. Detective Martinez pulled out handcuffs. Jacob Friedman, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, embezzlement, securities fraud, and the murder of Marcus Webb. You have the right to remain silent. As they cuffed him, Jason looked at me with pure hatred. You self-righteous piece of shit. You have no idea what you've done. No idea what Claire's going to do when she finds out. Actually, Detective Martinez said, we're picking up Christine Volkov right now. My colleagues are at your house as we speak, Mr. Chun. She won't be a problem anymore. But Jason laughed. Actually laughed. You think you've won? You think this is over? Claire has contingency plans you can't even imagine. You're a dead man, David. Today, tomorrow, next week. Doesn't matter. You're dead. They dragged him out, still laughing, still threatening. I stood in his office, my legs shaking, my whole body trembling with adrenaline. Detective Martinez came back, put a hand on my shoulder. You did great. That confession was perfect. We have everything we need. Is Claire really being arrested right now? Yes. Detective Foster coordinated with our tactical team. They moved in the moment Jason confirmed your wife's involvement. She's in custody. I felt like I should be relieved. Victorious. But all I felt was empty. Hollow. What happens now? Now we process them. Book them. And you go home and try to process what you've been through. This is going to be a long road, David. The investigation, the trial, the media attention. You need to prepare yourself for that. I don't care about any of that. I just want justice for Marcus. You'll get it. I promise you that. The media circus started within hours. By noon, news helicopters were circling my house in Newport Coast. By 3 p.m., every major news outlet in California was running the story. Tech entrepreneur's wife and business partner arrested in murder-for-hire scheme. Black Widow serial killer captured after 7-year spree. CyberShield founder exposes multi-million-dollar fraud. I watched it all from Detective Martinez's office, too numb to go home. My house was a crime scene now. Forensics teams were going through everything, collecting evidence for the prosecution. Rebecca Morrison, Marcus's attorney, came to sit with me. She brought coffee and tissues and legal documents that needed signing. Marcus would be proud of you, she said quietly. He knew you'd do the right thing. I should have believed him sooner. Well, he was alive, when it could have mattered. David, you couldn't have known. That's what made their cons so effective. They exploited your trust, your loyalty, your love. Those aren't weaknesses. Those are strengths. They just weaponized them. Over the next 3 days, the full scope of the investigation unfolded. The FBI got involved, connecting Claire and Jason to 7 murders across 4 states, not just the 5 Marcus had identified. Financial crimes totaling over $30 million stolen from various companies. Identity theft, securities fraud, conspiracy, attempted murder. The list of charges was staggering. Detective Martinez walked me through the evidence they gathered from my house. We found files on you dating back to 2012, before you even met Claire. She'd been researching you for a year before you randomly met at that coffee shop. Remember how you thought it was fate? I remembered. USC Alumni Event 2012. Claire had bumped into me, spilled coffee on my shirt, apologized profusely. We'd laughed about it, started talking. I thought it was the most romantic meet-cute story. Turns out it was a calculated ambush. Jason was brought into the plan in 2017, Martinez continued, when CyberShield started showing real potential. Claire cultivated the friendship between you and Jason, encouraged you to bring him on as a partner. You thought you were making a smart business decision. Really, you were completing their team. How do you live with yourself, knowing you've been that wrong about people? I asked. You don't, she said honestly. You just accept that some people are very good at being evil, and you focus on making sure they can't hurt anyone else. On the 4th day, I was finally allowed back home. The house felt foreign, contaminated. Every room held memories that were now lies. That couch where Claire and I had watched movies, she'd been planning my murder while sitting there. That kitchen where we'd cooked dinner together, she'd probably discussed embezzlement strategies with Jason on the phone while I chopped vegetables. That bedroom where we'd made love, where I'd told her my dreams, my fears, my vulnerabilities, she'd used every word as ammunition. I couldn't stay there. I called a real estate agent that afternoon and put the house on the market. Moved into a furnished rental in Corona Del Mar, something temporary and anonymous. Somewhere without ghosts. Marcus's funeral had been in February. Small, closed casket at Pacific View Memorial Park. But now, in June, knowing the truth about how he died, I went back to his grave alone. Brought flowers. Whiskey. His favorite, Jameson. I got them. I told his headstone. Jason confessed. Claire's in custody. They're both going to prison for the rest of their lives. You did it, brother. You saved me. Saved probably dozens of other people they would have targeted. You're a hero, Marcus. I hope you know that. The wind off the Pacific was cold, even in summer. I poured whiskey on his grave, an offering to a friend who'd given everything to protect me. I'm sorry I didn't listen sooner. Sorry I didn't believe you when you tried to warn me. Sorry you had to die to make me see the truth. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of what you did for me. I stayed until sunset, talking to Marcus the way I used to when he was alive. About everything and nothing. About the good times before everything went dark. About the future I'd have to build without him. About justice and grief and the strange way life works out. The trial began in September, 3 months after the arrests. The prosecution had so much evidence that Claire and Jason's lawyers tried everything to avoid going to court. Plea deals were offered and rejected. The prosecution wanted maximum sentences, and they had the evidence to get them. I attended every day of the trial, sat in the gallery watching as witness after witness testified. Forensic accountants explaining the embezzlement schemes. Tech experts demonstrating the Tesla hack that killed Marcus. FBI agents describing the pattern of murders across multiple states. Family members of previous victims crying as they realized their loved ones hadn't died in accidents. Claire took the stand in her own defense, a last desperate move by her attorneys. She wore a conservative dress, minimal makeup, playing the role of the wronged wife. She claimed Jason had manipulated her, controlled her, forced her to participate against her will. She cried real tears describing her love for me, her regret for the affair, her horror at discovering Jason's true nature. It was a masterful performance. If I hadn't seen Marcus's videos, hadn't heard her cold voice discussing my murder like a business transaction, I might have believed her. Some jurors looked sympathetic. But then the prosecution played the restaurant footage. Claire's voice, crystal clear. David is a means to an end. He always has been. Her mask cracked. Just for a moment, she looked at me across the courtroom, and I saw the real Christine Volkov. No remorse, no regret, just cold calculation and fury that her plan had failed. Jason didn't testify. His lawyer advised against it. But he sat through the trial with a smug expression, like he was watching a movie about someone else's life. Like none of this could touch him. He was wrong. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they came back, the verdict was unanimous on all counts. Claire and Jason were found guilty of 7 counts of first-degree murder, including Marcus Webb. Guilty of conspiracy to commit murder against me. Guilty of embezzlement, securities fraud, identity theft, and dozens of other charges. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Judge Patricia Thornton had reviewed the case thoroughly, and her expression was grave as she addressed the defendants. In 30 years on the bench, I have never seen such calculated, cold-blooded predation. You targeted vulnerable people who trusted you. You exploited their love, their friendship, their generosity. And when they became inconvenient, you killed them. 7 families have been destroyed by your actions. 7 lives snuffed out for financial gain. She looked at Claire. Christine Volkov, you are sentenced to 7 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. You will die in prison. Then at Jason. Jacob Friedman, you are sentenced to 7 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 40 years for the financial crimes. You will also die in prison. They were led away in handcuffs. Claire looked back at me one last time, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no revenge, just an empty place where my life used to be. The recovery took longer than I expected. Physical wounds heal. Emotional ones fester. I sold CyberShield 3 months after the trial. Couldn't run a company founded on lies and betrayal. The acquisition offer was $52 million, and I took it without negotiation. Put half in a trust fund for victims of financial fraud. Donated another $10 million to organizations that help families of murder victims. The rest I used to start something new. The Marcus Webb Foundation, dedicated to exposing and preventing financial elder abuse and romantic fraud schemes. We hired private investigators, forensic accountants, and victim advocates. We worked with law enforcement to identify patterns of predatory behavior. And we saved lives. In the first year alone, we helped expose 6 different fraud rings operating across the United States. Prevented an estimated $40 million in theft. Stopped at least 3 murders that were in the planning stages. Marcus had died exposing one conspiracy. His foundation would make sure no one else had to. I spoke publicly about my experience. Did interviews with 60 Minutes, Dateline, podcasts that reached millions. I was honest about my naivete, about how easy it had been to manipulate me, about the signs I'd missed, the red flags I'd ignored. Because if I could be fooled, successful entrepreneur, intelligent guy, careful with money, anyone could be fooled. The responses were overwhelming. Hundreds of people reached out, saying my story had made them look differently at their own relationships, made them question financial irregularities they'd been ignoring, made them trust their instincts when something felt wrong. We saved marriages. We saved lives. We gave Marcus's death meaning beyond tragedy. Dr. Helen Park became my therapist. She specialized in trauma from intimate partner betrayal, and she understood that what I'd experienced wasn't just grief. It was a fundamental shattering of reality. Your wife tried to kill you, she said in one of our early sessions. Your business partner murdered your best friend. Those aren't facts your brain can easily process. Give yourself time to be broken. Then we'll work on putting you back together. It took 2 years. 2 years of therapy, of slowly learning to trust again, of rebuilding my sense of self. I dated cautiously. Background checks on everyone, which sounds paranoid, but felt necessary. I made new friends, but kept them at arm's length. I worked, I volunteered, I tried to build something good from the ruins of my old life. On the second anniversary of Marcus's death, February 14th, 2027, I went back to Pacific View Memorial Park. But I wasn't alone this time. 15 other people came with me. Survivors of romantic fraud schemes. People who'd lost loved ones to financial predators. Families who'd been saved by the Marcus Webb Foundation. We stood in a circle around Marcus's grave and took turns sharing stories. How Marcus's investigation had led to the exposure of a nationwide fraud network. How the patterns he'd identified were now used by law enforcement agencies across the country. How his courage had inspired others to come forward with their own stories. Marcus Webb saved my life, I told the group. Not because he exposed the people trying to kill me, though he did that, but because he showed me that even in the darkest circumstances, even when you know you're probably going to die, you can still choose to do the right thing. You can still fight for truth. You can still protect the people you love. I looked at his headstone. My best friend was a hero, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure everyone knows it. 3 years after receiving that USB drive, I stood in a congressional hearing room in Washington, D.C. The Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation had invited me to testify about financial fraud in the tech industry, about romantic con artists who targeted entrepreneurs, about the need for better regulation and enforcement. Senators, I began, my name is David Chun. 3 years ago, my wife and my business partner tried to kill me. They succeeded in killing my best friend, Marcus Webb. And they were part of a criminal network that had been operating for over a decade, stealing hundreds of millions of dollars and killing at least 7 people that we know of. I spent 2 hours detailing everything. The evidence Marcus had gathered, the patterns of predatory behavior, the weaknesses in our financial system that allowed people like Claire and Jason to operate for so long, the reforms needed to prevent future victims. The testimony led to new legislation. The Marcus Webb Act, requiring additional oversight for tech company finances, creating federal databases to track suspicious patterns of business partner fraud, funding for victim support services. It wasn't enough to bring Marcus back, but it was something. Detective Sarah Martinez retired from the Newport Beach PD and came to work for the Marcus Webb Foundation. Best case of my career, she told me. Only one I can't let go of. If we can prevent even one more Marcus, even one more David, it'll be worth it. Rebecca Morrison, Marcus's estate attorney, became our legal counsel. She helped dozens of fraud victims navigate the complex process of recovering stolen assets and pursuing justice. Marcus knew what he was doing when he hired me, she said. He wanted someone who wouldn't give up, who'd see this through to the end. I'm honored to continue his work. My life now looks nothing like it did 4 years ago. I live in a modest condo in Laguna Beach. I work 60-hour weeks, but for a cause I believe in rather than a company built on lies. I have a small circle of friends I trust completely. Each relationship built slowly and carefully on demonstrated integrity rather than assumed good faith. And I'm dating someone. Her name is Rachel. She's a pediatric nurse, and she thinks my paranoia about background checks is simultaneously sweet and slightly insane. But she understands. She's patient. She lets me heal at my own pace. And maybe, eventually, I'll be able to love someone again without that voice in the back of my head asking what they're really after. Marcus's grave has become something of a pilgrimage site for fraud victims. People leave flowers, notes, small tokens of gratitude. Thank you for saving my father. Your investigation exposed a man who stole my retirement. Because of you, my sister is still alive. I visit once a month, update him on the foundation's work, tell him about the lives we've saved. We got 42 people out of abusive financial situations this month, I told him last week. Recovered $3.2 million in stolen assets. And we helped the FBI arrest a romance scam ring operating out of Miami. They targeted 17 elderly widows. Because of your evidence, because of the patterns you identified, we shut them down before they could hurt anyone else. The wind off the Pacific carried the scent of salt and flowers. Somewhere in the distance, I could hear children playing, life continuing, the world moving forward. I miss you, brother, I said, every single day. But I promise you, your death meant something. You saved me. And through the foundation, through the work we're doing, you're still saving people. That's your legacy, Marcus. Not the tragedy of how you died, but the triumph of what you accomplished. 4 years after that USB drive changed my life, I want you to understand something crucial. This isn't just a story about betrayal and revenge. It's a story about the power of one person's courage to expose evil, even when it cost them everything. Marcus knew he was probably going to die. He could have walked away, moved to another state, changed his name, saved himself. But he didn't, because he loved me more than he feared death. Because he understood that silence in the face of evil makes you complicit in that evil. Because he chose to be a hero rather than a survivor. The lesson isn't just about watching out for financial predators or being careful who you trust, though those things matter. The real lesson is that when you discover something wrong, when you see injustice, when you know the truth that powerful people want to hide, you have a choice. You can stay silent and safe, or you can speak up and risk everything. Marcus chose to speak up, and his choice saved not just my life, but dozens of other potential victims. The fraud networks we've exposed, the legislation we've passed, the lives we've protected, all of it traces back to one man's decision to document the truth, even when he knew it would probably get him killed. So let me ask you something. Have you noticed financial irregularities in your business that don't add up? Has your partner's behavior changed in ways that set off alarm bells? Are there relationships in your life where you're making excuses for red flags because you don't want to believe someone you love could hurt you? Trust your instincts. Marcus did, and it made all the difference. Don't ignore the signs like I did. Don't assume that because someone loves you or because you've known them for years, they're incapable of betrayal. People can be anything. The question is whether you're paying enough attention to see who they really are. The Marcus Webb Foundation has a hotline, 1-800-WEB-HELP. If you or someone you know is experiencing financial abuse, romantic fraud, or suspicious business partner behavior, call us. We have investigators, attorneys, and victim advocates standing by. We'll help you document the truth. We'll help you get justice. We'll help you survive what feels unsurvivable. Claire Volkov and Jason Fletcher are in prison for the rest of their lives. They'll never hurt anyone again. But there are thousands of predators just like them operating right now, across every state, targeting vulnerable people who trust too easily and love too deeply. Don't be their next victim. And if you find yourself in the position Marcus was in, knowing something terrible, wondering whether to speak up, scared of what might happen if you do, remember this. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the right thing despite the fear. It's choosing truth over safety. It's protecting the people you love, even when it costs you everything. Marcus Webb was my best friend, my brother, and my hero. He gave his life to save mine. The least I can do is spend the rest of my life making sure his sacrifice wasn't in vain. Drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me if this story resonated with you. Tell me if you've experienced financial fraud or romantic betrayal, or if you know someone who has. Share this video. Because every person who hears Marcus's story is one more person who might recognize the warning signs in their own life. One more person who might save themselves or someone they love. Subscribe to this channel for more true stories about survival, justice, and the courage it takes to expose evil. Because these aren't just stories. They're warnings. They're roadmaps. They're proof that even in the darkest circumstances, even when powerful people are trying to destroy you, the truth can still win. Marcus taught me that, and now I'm teaching you. Stay vigilant, trust carefully, and never, ever ignore that voice in your head that says something's wrong. Because that voice, that's your survival instinct. That's millions of years of evolution telling you to pay attention. That's the same instinct that made Marcus investigate when he overheard that conversation. That's what saved my life. Let's save yours too. Justice for Marcus Webb. Protection for future victims. Truth above all else. That's our mission. That's our promise. That's Marcus's legacy. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And thank you for being part of the solution rather than standing by while predators destroy more lives. The Marcus Webb Foundation, because everyone deserves a friend brave enough to tell the truth.